Chloe, obviously the thing that you're really well known for is made.com, but we want to take it back and start from the beginning.
I grew up in Paris, where I was born, and I decided to go into architecture. I chose l'École des Beaux-Arts, which was a very bohemian school. It's not like studying anywhere else in the world. You do live drawings, you get naked every Friday around beers. It's quite...
Just like drink about, yeah?
Yeah, it's quite... I decided to try in London as a place to get my first work experience. And a friend of mine told me, show up at Norman Foster. During the summer, there's a huge amount of competition. They hire a lot of interns. I was lucky enough to get the job, so I started as an intern. I did a couple of months, and at the end of that, they asked me whether I would stay as a permanent employee. You know, coming out of a school of architecture after 7 years, the guarantee to get a job is very small, it's about 20%. So when I graduated, I had 3 years experience, and that was a really big bonus. You know, this is what really kicked out my career quite fast, I guess. And I was lucky enough to then stay with the firm for another 7 years. It wasn't at all what I expected it to be, but
fewer naked sessions and
it was a little bit more rigid,
kind of
yes.
maths.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how I got into that.
What's the next part of the story? How did you then discover startup and your passion for business?
I think I was getting a bit tired of architecture, and then I was lucky enough to get introduced to Brent Hoberman. He was telling me about this new platform he wanted to build, and I kept telling him I didn't think I was right for the job, I had no experience, but he was quite keen, which was sort of interesting for me to see that he could see something that I obviously couldn't understand. And so towards the end of the conversation, I thought, I'm going to tell him I'm pregnant because that's definitely going to put him off. I was, by the way, pregnant.
You didn't just make that up.
But I hadn't told anyone yet because it was early, but I thought it's not fair to, get into a business, and a very young business, when you're going to, have to get off for 9 months or whatever. So I told him, and then he said, he didn't really take a lot of time, and he said, well, you should still come on board. And I think at that point, when we talk about making decisions and intuition and gut feeling, sometimes it can be someone else's intuition. It doesn't have to be yours. If someone sees something in you so strongly that even though you're going to potentially disappear and never come back, and still they want to give you that chance, you sort of need to transfer your trust into them, if you can, and get their intuition to become your decision making. So I think it's along my career, I've realized this way later, that this was what happened, is I thought if he believes I can do the job, then maybe I can.
Thank you so much to Albert House and their amazing team for this incredible venue. I hope you've all been comfortable. Thank you to Braintree for sponsoring, and have a good evening. Thank you for everybody.